Hi everyone, Simon here from High Playing Games. Hope you are having a great day. I thought since the world is probably having some of its most difficult year in recent memory, at least since a world war, I feel like, we could be doing a little bit more to share some love and support for each other. It's a fantastic game called Kind Words, Lo-Fi Chill Beats to Write To, as you can see on the screen. And the idea behind it is that you send out anonymous requests for help and support and advice around specific topics, or just chatting with each other, and then you kind of sit down as your avatar and you pen pal back anonymous responses to people. No one knows who's sent something, no one knows who's received things, but I thought sometimes when you're writing this it could be rife for a wider discussion, and let's get old Uncle Smithy out and see how we get on. I never know what's coming up with these before you dive in. The whole point is that it's all anonymous and all over the shot, so there will be some jump cut editing, and I will pause whilst I write replies so that you can see what I then send off, but I want to actually have big discussions over things as well. Ooh, hello? Here's a hug 31, give hug 32 to the world. Fair enough. Okay, let's view some requests. I finally got caught up with Critical Role, both campaigns. Oh, I don't know that. Sorry. Today has been a roller coaster of emotions for me. After losing her, I feel like I'm torn. I love her and now she's gone. Stay strong out there, not for me, or others, but for you. I agree with staying strong for yourself. I think after a relationship comes to an end, you need to take time for yourself to kind of rebalance yourself and work out what makes you tick, and what was good about a relationship, what was bad about a relationship. And then kind of taking the best bits of that forward so that when you go into your next relationship, you are going in eyes open but better prepared. I certainly feel like that with my previous relationships. Each relationship that I've been in to date, I'm in one quite happily at the moment, so this could be the curse, but there's a definite pattern where every time I've been in a relationship previous to this one, there has always been a fundamental learning that's come out once it's all gone tits up and you've moved forward. And it's either been, normally for me personally, it's around particularly when I was younger, kind of losing all sense of self-identity and just being it's okay, love me, I will change, and that doesn't bring out the best in anyone, does it? And about being and actually it leaps back actually to staying strong out there for yourself, because you need to keep yourself as yourself. I don't know if I'm making much sense there, but it's making sure that you don't collapse in on yourself and mould yourself around what others want you to be. It should be a coming together of mind, body and soul, blah 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 blah. You know what I mean? And don't become a wet lettuce. That's my advice for that one. Okay, so that's what I've wrote back. I've wrote, stay strong too. Each relationship is a learning experience and you can take the best memories with you, and it was just, if it wasn't meant to be, then at least you can go in stronger and wiser next time around. Best of luck, and take some self-time out. Get yourself back again, which I always think is huge for that. Thank you, Mr. Deer. Hey, I discovered to connect this morning. I was a bit stressed about some things. It's only washed that way. Hope you have a sweet track for you tomorrow. Thanks. Okay, another swig of cherry cola, and let's dive on. I feel like I still don't know who I am, even as a big boy, independent adult. Oh, honey, I've been there. I still am. I think I've been scared of most of my life to show people what I'm like out of fear of judgment, and now I don't even know what defines me. Anyone relate? Any tips? Oh, I'm going to need to structure a response to this one, I think. But I'm trying to do this without... I suppose I should just let it roll off my head. Absolutely, completely relate. Okay, I've had a bit of a think before I start spitballing here. I think there's several things around this question, actually, and there's lots of different ways how you could tackle it. People don't judge out of fear necessarily. It's about the unknowing and needing education. And I would say that in the year 2020, where people define them things by their work, their occupation, brands, and I'd say the advent of social media has been really, really instrumental in how this comes about as well. Who would have thought 25 years ago that you'd have people aged between like 8 and 10 being like, well, my online brand is all about being vegan or something like that, and having to think so far about public image at such a young age. I think it's really unfair because people's minds are so intrinsically changed by day-to-day advertising, the way how algorithms put a plate of food for thought in front of you. It's no wonder that people are having more and more identity crises going on in the modern age, and that can be on a variety of levels. It could be just about what makes you tick. It could be if you are scared, particularly if you're thinking about fear of judgment and sticking out. It could be that you have an unusual hobby or an unusual pastime, or I don't know, you might want to be a punk rocker with a mohawk that makes you stick out, and that's what you look for. What I would say is that if you are going to make a bold statement in any way, there's a couple of things that you can do. You can try out those bold statements in private first to make sure that you're comfortable and that you definitely identify with whatever it is that you want to be. And I would say that in 2020, in an age where defining yourself in groups becomes more and more divisive and aggressive, now is probably one of the best times to fight the cause for being an independent person who does not need to conform to identifying in certain groups. Now more than ever, people aren't necessarily judging out of fear, it's more out of wanting to be educated. And that thirst for education is becoming more and more apparent over time as the world becomes more accepting, depending on what it is that you're looking at. Obviously, everywhere towards acceptance and a common ground and a level platform for everyone is a long way from home and from being a normal thing, but it's ongoing rail tracks to progress, hopefully, isn't it? Paring it back even further, though, there's more that you can even go about this, and maybe I'm reading too much into kind of I'm scared to show my life to people, that kind of section of the question. It might be more about the identity of actually, who am I? And when you meet people, and this is really interesting for me because I didn't used to date very much in person. I'd always be dating online. Apologies, I'm crossing my legs. I'm clearly going to go into a bit of a ramble here. I'm sorry in advance. When you meet people online through dating and stuff like that, You say, oh, hi, how are you? How are you? My name is blah, 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 blah. Almost the next question is always, what do you do? And it's like you're being defined by your career or your occupation or your lead skill. And I find that quite narrow and really quite sad in some ways, because you should be out there surprising people with interesting questions that kind of get more out of a binary answer back to you. Because then if someone just goes plumber, then you're like, well, fixed any good sinks lately? I mean, you could make a plunger joke maybe, and that'd be about it. Maybe as a gamer I'd go for a Mario and Luigi bromance fanfic and watch me get blocked. But you need to kind of strip away those kind of layers, and maybe if you don't even know who you are as a human being, and that's more of a fundamental like ta-da question, for me that then comes down to personality traits and working out what makes you tick as a human being. And a really good way how I've dealt with this with other people who have had these kind of feeling lost type of mentalities is stripping it back to personality traits and understanding what a good day would be like for you, and what would you look for in an ideal version of yourself, or if that's difficult to picture, how you feel about being like describing an ideal person who you would date, or who you would aspire to be, because then you can pick out all of the things that you admire. And even if you aren't there yourself as a person, those are things that you can work towards, standards that you aspire to reach. And no one's fallible. We've all got flaws, we've all got faults, but we can still be defined by those morals and those standards that we wish that we could have all day, every day. And that starts to paint a picture of who you are as an individual. Take away the brands, take away the jargon, I guess, and like, who are you? Are you honest? Are you a happy person? What's the first thing you think about when you get up in the morning? It could be, oh shit, I've got to go to work. No! So it could be, do you know what? I'm not enjoying my... I don't enjoy where I am at the moment, but I have a passion for blah, 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 blah. And that gets me ticking because blah, blah, blah. And the reason why I get so excited is because blah, blah, blah. And you can slowly paint out a picture of exactly who you are and piece that together. I find that really, really helpful because there's different layers of this for me, because I've always kind of been a bit chameleon-like, especially in a work setting. Actually, I find work settings to be really difficult to like be who you are on a day-to-day basis, because everyone's all there for diversity and inclusion until someone's rocks the boat and does something, and then it's all the yeah, we'll include you, but you're not going up the ladder. Maybe I'm just cynical, but I sit there and think, what trap are you setting for me to walk into? Maybe that's not the best way to deal with things, but I've learnt to be quite chameleon in how I can try and adapt and fit in with different people, so I never really have a sense of self in a work environment. But outside of that, I would say that... What am I trying to say? Personality-wise, I was a geek before geeks were fashionable. And now I'm just like, don't even call yourself a geek because you watched a Marvel film once. Get out. Then I don't remember anyone particularly around where I was being a massive motorsport fan. I've managed to find my clan there, which was great. Online was a great resource for that. And online's really, really good if you find yourself with a niche audience. There is a forum or a web page for everything, for everyone. I promise you that. And if you're not, if there genuinely is not, be the person that stands out. And that's what I mean about this fear of judgment, just to try and round off on this. Apologies, this has been a really long, arduous reply. But if you feel like you are the only person feeling or being or wanting to identify as or cling to the idea of a life as something, I can guarantee you that you are not alone, that there will be other people out there as well, but they might not be as brave enough to step forward. So if you feel like needing to get some kind of community together, if you don't feel comfortable doing that in person, but you'd like to explore that with other people, set up an online resource, do it as an alias name, something like that, but make it so that it's an inclusive, safe space, so that other people that want to express or discover something that you're all related to, and that could be puff pastry, it could be transgenderness, it could be, I'm just trying to think of things off the top of my head, and no one like big identity crisis is necessarily quote unquote bigger than the other, because if it's the big thing for you, it's what matters for you. So yeah, I hope that's vaguely answered. I'm going to pause and try and put that into a letter now. Okay, this is what I've written back. I've tried to, you only get 14 lines. Try not to identify as something and build yourself up with what you class as a good day for you or a person you aspire to be. That was me trying to like get the crux at the beginning of that. You don't have to be X, Y, and Z. You can just be you and take the bits that you like to make your unique self. You define you, not the groups you feel social pressure to be placed into. This is me just being like, fuck the advertisers. Now more than ever, individuality is seen more as a strength, not a weakness. And that is so true. Every time I see people that are doing something that is bold and different and new, and you have like the establishment being like, no, don't do that, you will have people go, what the hell was that? But you will get 10 times as many people go, do you know what, well done for you, or I admire you, or I respect your decision. Or you're paving the way for other people to then follow and become a tribe along with you, and then you form your own identity around that should you want to. Replace fear with education if you're worried with shock factor. That's me trying to cover off if someone's got like a deep underlying, I don't feel like I am me and I need to do, say if this person is married and they want to get a divorce or something like that. The fear with education can help soften blows with that and give understanding. And I found online groups of similar interests really supportive. And that was for me personally. I was a huge online gamer, but with like not COD and all of that kind of stuff. Finding the sim racing community was huge for me back in the mid 2000s, and hundreds of friends, most of which I still talk to today. Thank you very much, little mystic dear. If anyone needs someone to listen to, I'm here. I know things are hard right now, but everything's going to be okay. You're loved and appreciated. Aww. Well done, B. That's a nice one. I'm so tired and feel empty, like I've been pouring way too much into others, but I don't really know how to ask for help or what I need, and I'm just scared to face my own emotions. Just scared to face horrible trauma. Not sure I could ever connect to a therapist. Okay, well, Kay, I can relate to some of this. not necessarily all of it, because I don't have much horrible, well, I do have horrible trauma, but I don't feel like it calls me up on a daily basis. However, feeling tired and empty and pouring way too much into others, absolutely get. Particularly if you're quite empathic, and I appreciate that's probably a bit pseudoscience-y, but if you're someone that spends all of their energy and time and resource making sure that everyone else is okay, and you only get to sit down at the end of the day and be like, I'm sure lots of mothers will be like, yes, that is me, parents in general. But you also have people who are like the mentor and the looker after and the carer in the friendship group. That used to be me. I've since kind of transitioned into the listener comedy role in friendship groups. And that's a bit more of a healthier balance for me, because then you just don't get the problems all day long for everyone else, but then no one's really there to listen to you. So the first thing that I would absolutely say with this, so just take a quick sip of drink, is absolutely prioritise making sure that you pour back into yourself. And the way how I've been able to rationalise this for me is that you can't help others when you're pouring from an empty vessel yourself. If you've given away all of your energy and you've got nothing else to give, you need to be able to take the time to top yourself back up. Whether that being some relaxation, some time to switch off, some getaway, turning off everything that's around you so that you can have some headspace, also good app by the way, so that you can kind of hashtag not sponsored, just shut down and unwind. And some self-care, absolutely self-care. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you need to then go and ask for help. That means that you start to self-regulate about how you can manage your own emotions and understand when you hit the limits of, do you know what, I'm not coping well today. For me, I pour too much into work at the moment. Currently, at the time of recording, I'm sure everyone that sees any video that's posted in 2020, we're in a pandemic. I work all day in the civil service. I help administer benefit, actually, to people. And I've, since in the UK, kind of beginning of March, every single day I'm in sorting out problems, because I have some base of knowledge, but I'm always having to pour into other people to try and help and support other people, which now means that I've now got a position where everyone basically comes to me with their troubled cases, and then you have to kind of pour in and help support the staff member, but then also the person, the customer that's on the other side. That becomes very, very draining. And so I've learnt to know that after a couple of hours I need to kind of walk away from my PC and laptop for 10 minutes so that I can then take a breather and a break, because a lot of those cases are really emotionally charged and emotionally invested. And so having that factored into my diary means that I can top back up and then go back in and pour out more again. Do the same with my friendship groups. There will be days where I am not contactable or things will be on delay. The same with my relationship as well. We actually really spend time making sure that we look out for each other and make sure to check in with each other. And this comes back to making sure that the people who you are pouring into aren't energy vampires, for want of a better phrase. where they take because they know that you will give. And being able to put up that, do you know what, I need some time for me and I would really like some support with something, helps start setting up that boundary. Because if you constantly give, people will expect it and then they will walk all over you. I've been there so many times, in a friendship group, in relationships, and in a work setting, where your boundaries are crossed and you keep pouring and you think, do you know what, maybe they'll think better of me, maybe I will get the praise that I want because I'm a people pleaser or something like that. There's a lot of stuff that you can kind of attribute to, and it maybe all boils down to a lack of self-esteem. And maybe that connects into potential past traumas. Make sure that you surround yourself with people who will not take you for granted. Make sure you surround yourself with people who will check in on you. And if you've got people that only take and will never give, when you ask them to give back and that they don't do that, you will very quickly find out who your friends are, because they will move on to the next person that they can leech, because they now know that they cannot do it with you. So yeah, be careful with that. The second half of this question is really hyper individualistic, and I'm not qualified in any way, shape or form to really give like masses of advice on any of this. I too don't think I could ever connect with a therapist. I do though find watching online demonstrations of therapies really fascinating. I love all mind stuff anyway, and so seeing how they kind of work and understanding the principles of things and then going away and applying it to myself, I kind of find really helpful in a self-starter kind of way. I appreciate it's probably not for everyone. My other thing is that I would say that therapists also are highly every therapist will be Marmite. You will either gel or you will not gel, and that is down to personality. I think culturally as well, therapy is considered very different in Europe compared to America, for example, compared to Asia as well, because of the way how we view mental health. I think Europe very much is, I think, behind the curve in understanding that mental health should be given parity to physical conditions sometimes, if not all times. Whereas in America, you ain't nobody if you ain't got no therapist. So yeah, there's different ways and there's different modalities as well. Don't think that a therapist will just sit there and talk at you, or be like, so how are you feeling and what does that make you feel? Because that would make me go nuts. And remember, if you're scared to face a horrible trauma, that will block you even connecting with a therapist from the get-go. So you may find that you might find a therapist that's right for you, but you may not be actually ready to face that trauma yet anyway. So go at your own time, at your own pace. You don't need to force yourself to do any of that kind of stuff. But my advice for the therapy side of things is look on loads and loads of different resources. I find there's a YouTube channel called Mind Circle, I think it is, and they have quite a lot of examples of therapy sessions. And what's really interesting at the moment is that they've then gone round and recircled around that excuse me, doing online versions of it. So maybe if you're worried about the confrontation of being face to face with a therapist, doing it remotely via a Skype call or Zoom or something like that may suit you better, because you're one step removed and you're in the safety of your own home, assuming that it's safe, and and that may allow you to relax. Obviously though, if you're going to do some kind of remote therapy from home, make sure that you have got a location where you can go where you need to go emotionally to get through that kind of stuff, because if you've got baby or kids crying in the background and going absolutely nuts, or if you're sharing a place and you've got your flatmates making waffles in the background and you're trying to talk about mummy and daddy issues, ain't gonna work, is it? So each to their own, but hopefully that's of some help. I feel like I've rambled as is this whole video, but I hope it's helpful to someone. Okay, so here's what I've written in reply for this one. I recommend taking a look at demonstrations of different types of therapies, as there are so many to choose from and one may suit. Oh, I should put YouTube in there, shouldn't I? Can I fit it in? Yes. Ah, no I can't. Ah. Therapists are all down to personality, so it's really individual to you. I've been there on the tide empty drained. I learnt to take time for self-care so I could refill to help others. Time away, offline, out of contract, etc. I also asked for support back. That stopped energy vampires taking all day long. Relationships are two-way, and if you put up that request, bad eggs move on fast. They won't stick around if they're not getting what they want. Thank you, Celestial Dear. Very welcome. Ooh, this one sounds a little bit positive. We might do this one to end the sesh. Would love to get everyone's thoughts here. What do you believe is the best way to start a relationship? What did you do when you realised you really liked someone? Would love to know. Best wishes to all. C. So for me, I don't beat around the bush if I like someone. And I know this, again, this is very much around personality traits and things like that. But I don't have time for mucking about and for games. I'm very much I really like you, let's see where this heads. And I have to say, actually, although obviously relationships break down, it's very rare that someone then goes backwards again, because I guess for me, the way how I've been able to understand is that there's been some kind of spark, at least from my side, but I've kind of waited for at least a vague signal back. Maybe I've just been very lucky in how I've read the signs for people. But I can only really think of one or two where I've gone steaming in being like, I really like you, let's try something. And it's all gone a bit horribly wrong afterwards. And on both of those occasions, they've basically said, I'm not really looking for an actual relationship. I'm just after casual stuff. And I made it very clear that I wasn't. And so that was that. So I believe that the best way to start a relationship is with honest intentions. I don't believe that you should play games. I think this is massive generalisation. If you play hard to get, I think sometimes that can come back to bite you in the bum. But I know of other people in other relationships where they enjoy a good row. And I was chatting to someone I work with a couple of weeks ago, and he goes, it feels weird if we haven't had a good ruckus and a make-up by the end of the week. And I was like, yeah, we all know why you're making up, mate. But that's how they live their life. And for me personally, I'd find that exceptionally stressful, because I don't want conflict in my life. I want to be alongside someone and that we're going together in the same direction, same travel, and that we use our energy for positivity and goodness, but some people live off that kind of fractious spark because it keeps it interesting for them. So it really depends really on what you're looking for in a relationship and how you like your relationship sparks to go. For me, when I do realise I like someone, really simply, I tell them. I'll normally sow the seed. No, that's the wrong phrase, isn't it? I sow the seed of implying that I like them first before I come out and say it. I don't normally go nuts on a first date. I'm normally really quite matey and pally actually on a first date. So I don't necessarily go in romantically. And I guess this is also around how you connect with someone. For some people, there might be more of a physical connection with people first before they then build the mental one. So what did you do when you realised you liked someone? Probably put some clothes on and take them out to dinner. If you're physical first. For me, I'm more of a mental / emotional person first, and then I kind of fall in love with everything else around them because of the way how they interact with the world. One's not necessarily better than the other, it's just different, the way how you connect with people. And so with me, I fall in love mentally. So I think that the conversation is the way how I would let someone know is how I would like them. And I think that's probably why it's much more easier for me to just come out and say it. But yeah, I think that's kind of all that I've got to really say on that. What I would say is that coming back full circle on this, start with the way how you mean to go on. When you start out a relationship, you set the pattern and that pattern becomes the trend. So if you start out saying that you're one thing when you're really another, you're only going to disappoint when you backtrack, because you've started out ingenuously or disingenuously, which is why when here's a random story. I dated someone for a while who made out that they were rather rich, and they really wasn't. And it wasn't necessarily that, it was the fact that they had lied that really annoyed me and frustrated me, not necessarily the revelation itself, because then you're like, well, what else isn't true? I've been busy being myself here. Now let's go back to square one and try again. And it fizzled out really quickly after that. And here we are. This is what I've wrote. I think it depends on whether you're a physical, mental or emotional person. First, for me, it's mental. So it's with truth, honesty and no games. I'm quite direct, and I've told all previous partners that I like them and wanted to see where things go. And I've usually done it within the first few months. I'd actually say, to be honest, I've probably done it within the first month. To say that I'd liked them, it's very rare that I've done more than 3 dates before I've then been like, yeah, I like you, let's see what happens. So yeah, anyway, I want to set the pattern of positivity and openness from the beginning so that it becomes a trend for the future. Can completely appreciate that others will enjoy the chase more, though it's just not for me. I'll be very interested actually what C gets back as responses. How do you spell Worcestershire? Okay, you guys all take care, and I'll grab you next episode on Uncle Smithy Reads Your Letters. Bye for now. Higher Plane Games is part of the Higher Plane Network, a collection of media projects ran by me, If you like what you see and want to find out more, visit patreon.com/Higher Network. Your support can make so much more possible, be that a like, a comment, a share, or a pledge. Thanks for watching.